So a couple weeks back, I decided to enter a chess tournament that was hosted on a Minecraft server, Zero Miner. The third oldest server in the world, or whatever they call it these days. And I thought that I had no expectations. I thought I was gonna lose immediately because there are a lot of good players on Minor, and even when they announced that there were gonna be divisions, so that people like me wouldn't be completely embarrassed. I still didn't have much hope. The games were being played on a giant Minecraft chessboard, and then we would have logs back on regular old chess sites. But the Minecraft chessboard is what really matters here. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it affected any of my games, but I figured this was a pretty interesting tournament for me, and so I thought I'd just go ahead and do some dives into my games. Since I don't have a face cam, you get to see this Bayleaf image on your screen. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy my games. So, like I said, I already came into this tournament with low expectations, and my first opponent did not do anything to temper those expectations. This was Rambells, who, by virtue of having rated out of of our bracket, our bracket was under 1350, but he started under 1350, and then he played some games to practice, and he got over 1350, and so by default he was the highest rated player in our section, and I got to draw him round one. Yay! That's very fun. Okay. So it's round one. I don't know what I'm getting into. The white and black pieces were set up by coin flip because we can't have anything cool in this world. And game one, I did not call the coin flip and I lost. I'll tell you more about the coin flip later on. It's actually a pretty interesting element of this whole thing. But I lost the coin flip and Rambells picked white, so I was stuck with black in game number one. Um, he is a D4 player, as I soon found out, and a London player. And so I don't have the right move order to play on normal anti-London setup with c5 because I've already committed to playing knight c6, so I've just got to roll with it. And then he breaks the normal London tendencies and plays the move c4, which is a bad move because the engine says that allowing knight b4 is very dangerous, and that's why you play c3 to keep the knight away from b4. To Ruth be told, I'm not really sure what I would do with it. But obviously knight c2 is a massive threat that he has to address immediately. And so knight b4 is a big missed opportunity here because I played bishop b4 instead, like the fool I am, and he just gets the opportunity to develop a piece. Obviously, it's kind of a self pin, but who cares about that? He's got a piece out. I play the move knight g to e7, getting rid of the castle. And here, the eval bar hates that move actually. Um, once ran to go rook c1 here, and instead he goes a3, and we trade off some pieces. I double his pawns. I'm feeling okay about that. And here I play the move a6. I think what I was trying to go for was to stop this by playing b5 and to stop this by playing a6. That's my best guess. This was a while ago. I don't really know what I was thinking here. Anyway, c takes d5 comes out, so that successfully stops bishop b5 from happening. That takes a load off my mind. C takes, and that's actually a bad move. It wanted knight takes d5. With the reasoning being, I don't I don't really know what the reasoning was. I think it just wants the tempo on this bishop over here, but I liked the idea of this bishop not being able to go to b5 or c4, and so I was still feeling pretty good by now. Bishop d3 by Ram, wanting to trade off my active bishop for his weaker one that's kind of blocked off. Makes sense. I castle, he castles. I mean, this is an intriguing square, but I don't think he can ever do anything with it, sadly. And now I play knight a5, and to need to jump back around over here once these bishops get traded off and get a nice little outpost, I can attack on b2. Pretty cool stuff. Rook b1 from Rambells, attacking that b7 pawn, and I play b5. b5's definitely fine. Get some more insurance on c4 and stops the open file. All right, we're doing okay. Queen c2. Now I have to deal with this problem like immediately up, but I play queen c8. I don't really want to give up my bishop right away. Engine wanted me to take, but I like having my bishop there. Oh, I just spoiled the ending. Sorry, y'all. That's the ending. I lose. I lose the game. So, I enjoyed having my bishop there for about one more move, and then it gets taken. And I take back, and now I've just got this knight here that can't really do a whole lot. Like this square is blocked, this square is blocked, this square is blocked, this square is blocked, this square is probably gonna die. This knight just really isn't doing very much here. Rambells plays a4, and I play c6 to go ahead and back that b5 pawn up. Pretty reasonable. Knight e5 by Ram, and the engine actually kind of doesn't like that move. It says I should play the move f6, or even better g5, because if this bishop takes, you get pawn forked. I did not see either of those. I played rook e8 just to get a piece out, and Rambells went ahead and took. I take back with the c pawn and queen a2, targeting that weak d5 pawn that just got opened up by the c pawn moving away. Knight c4 by me. Probably a little bit too hasty here going for this. I think on this move, trying to play f6 again to get the knight out would have been a little bit fine, but the engine also doesn't like that move. Let's see what happens if I try to play whoop and 1.4, because this pawn is still under duress and you can't just waste it. So anyway, I play that, blocking off the queen's line of sight to the c5 pawn, and I take away from the center. Still pretty even. Rambells has pretty good center control and can start marching these pawns forward, but this game is still pretty close. I play queen c6 here, with the reasoning being that after knight h4 I can start an attack over here, and it's actually kind of pretty hard to start an attack without blowing up your own position, but he goes ahead and plays the preemptive f3. I play h6 and e4 by Ram. I go ahead and move my knight where I wanted it to go, h4, even though, like, what is it doing? This line is not open anymore. What is this knight doing? It's just doing nothing. And after queen f2, now I'm in a little bit of a pickle. G5 obviously looks natural. This isn't a great move because it just opens up this whole line, and like these pawns are going to come and this bishop is going to come. It's just you don't want your pawn there. You don't want your king that open with the queen like threatening to infiltrate. I go queen f6. This is also a bad move because he can play the same bishop e5. He can play bishop g3. He can like give this knight all kinds of hell. It's just not good. He plays bishop g3, and I go knight g6. And now he goes e5, and all of a sudden the eval bar is right back in my favor. Why is that? Because it loved the idea of all these pawns marching down the board, but it did not want this e5 pawn going first. Because when that happens, this just gives my queen a ton of options. It can go over here and reopen that line that was closed when I move my knight to h4. I moved queen f5. Now this rook is stuck babysitting this rook, and that means it has to move carefully. It moves rook e4, and all of a sudden, engine says it's another bad move because now I can start moving my knight over and attacking these weak pawns, or finding some other way to infiltrate into white's position, and it likes my chances here. I play a5, and that's just not a good move. It literally just hangs this pawn. Like, what is the point? That's just bad. A4, rook b4, a3, and I just start. This pawn's coming, but it's not a huge deal. Queen a2 is coming. It's not a very big deal. And now I go h4, trying to force this bishop out, but like, what is it even doing? And now I lose my other pawn, and I'm down 2 pawns. Great. All right. Next move is h4, and I drop a third pawn. I take because I want to open up this queen's way, and then I just don't use the path I just opened. Why don't you play queen d3, dude? Come on. To my credit, the engine loves queen e6 because it has this little interaction right here. That's very fun. Rook e4. And now is the biggest moment of the game. This is a pin. This is the only big dynamic left on the board is this pin right here. And the way to win this position is to play the move rook a4. Rook a4, and there is just no way that white can weasel out of this. If rook a4, d5, queen takes d5 is the best white has, and even then, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna get all up in here. It's gonna be bad. Like if black just gives me like a free move, for example, I can take. I can start pushing these pawns. I can move this rook in here. It's gonna be a bad time for white. Anyway, rook a4 is the only good move, and I play queen takes c4. Now, what I thought was that when I played queen takes d4, this pawn could promote, and I could win. Unfortunately, rook e1, and this looks winnable, but it's a simple counting exercise. White has 6 pawns and I have 2. So the 2 rooks versus queen dynamic, that's usually a draw, just does not apply here, and I am just dead lost. I just failed to do the simple counting exercise you need to do to win these games, and because of that, I get up in here and I play rook g1. I'm trying to go for this last little bit of chances. I just completely hang this rook and he just doesn't see it. It doesn't matter, but it's just like this is the play of a desperate man. And now I play this and I have this and he doesn't see it. He doesn't see it and I'm so happy. Maybe I've gotten back in the game. Nope. I have not gotten back in the game because after all that, he still has this unfortunate fork and the game is over. I went ahead and resigned here because, like, you're not winning this position. It's just not happening. And so that was a really tough loss. Failing to find rook a4 when, like, that would have been a massive round one upset just hurts a whole lot. Really does. All right. All right. Game two, we get to face a bit. Well, you can only go down from Rambells, but this is Karakata. We actually kind of bonded after this game. We talked about like wisdom teeth and all of that stuff, and good challenge. But right now we're on the chessboard, and I didn't mention this in game one. This is a double elimination tournament. Most chess tournaments you'll see are like Swiss or some. Everyone gets to play. This is dog eat dog. This is lose 2 games, you are out. Like I could be out game two, which was kind of my expectation when I was going into this, but let's see how this plays out. Now I get the white pieces for this game. Um I lost the coin flip again, but Kara actually opted to play black. Later she would tell me this was because she wanted to do a power move, and absolute respect, absolute Chad for doing that. But at least I get the white pieces for round, and that lets me play my favorite opening, the Ponziani. Now, I love the Ponziani just because it can let you put so much pressure on your opponent like quickly. It can lead to some early traps, or it can just lead to like your opponent being uncomfortable early. Now, these were all 30-minute games because we're playing on a giant Minecraft chessboard, so playing Bliss just wouldn't work. These are all 30-minute games, so my opponents had plenty of time to like out like figure out what they're going to do against the Ponziani, and Kara plays the best engine move in this situation, which is d5. Now d5, the engine loves this because it kind of thwarts any attempts at what I want to do. I want to play d4, and d5 is just an immediate contest of that. Now I play the best engine move in my side, which is queen a4, and this is actually like the grandmaster lines. When grandmasters play the Ponziani, they get this. And now the real grandmaster would be f6, but of course, unless you're like well versed in how to play against the Ponziani, you're never gonna play f6. Let's be real, like it's just not happening ever. So Kara opts for the safer bishop d7, which is just fine. E takes d5, knight c to e7, and now we got our first big dynamic. And as you can see, the eval bar already likes me here because of the move bishop b5, just to immediately get some pressure with this pawn coming, like there's some serious chance of like something happening here. I don't play that. I played queen e4, and that's not the greatest of moves. It hits this pawn, but that's pretty easily defendable with knight j6. And now I play d4, knight f6, and now we just got a big thing going where there's a lot of stuff to consider, and unfortunately, with a lot of stuff to consider, I play the move bishop g5. Oh my fucking god, dude. Oh, what a terrible frickin' move. So this move just straight up hangs a piece. Like there is no way around it. I am just down a bishop. I just did not consider the fact that my queen was under threat. And I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna put even more pressure on. No, you're fucking not. Just get it out of your system. And past Orca did not get it out of his system. He just kept going. And now I'm down a piece, and I am on very, very there's a very good chance I'm just dead here. Like, I'm just gonna lose 2 games. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna say I'm gonna be the guy that lost 2 Minecraft chess games and didn't win anything. Knight f6 becomes by Kara, and she is just up. She's living the dream. D takes e5. Knight takes d5. Like, she's up 2. I have a pawn for a bishop. And when you're down, the way I like to play things is just to keep getting like these little pressures on, make them a little bit uncomfortable because that's all you can really do when you're losing like this. Just knock my headphones off. Bishop e4, bishop e6 by Kara, and I castle. Wish I could have moved rook d1, but that is unfortunately blocked. Sag. Uh, Bishop e7 comes by Kara, and now I move knight b to d2 just to get everything else I have in the game. I did not play rook d1. I don't really know why, because rook d1 c4 seems kind of attractive. Anyway, knight b6, that opens up this, but it's not really a threat at all. And that lets me take this pawn on b7. Now I'm up. Now I'm down a bishop for 2 pawns, which is a little bit better than being a bishop for 1 pawn. And Kara's next move is knight d7. This is attempting, this is to clear the way for this move in the future while not giving it a free tempo on the king. And that's exactly what happens. I go ahead and move to c6 anyway, get a pin. Instead of taking this pawn on b2, Kara goes ahead and castles to get out of the pin. Which is an interesting choice because, like, there's nothing that this knight can really do right now. And this is just a free pawn. So I get to keep my pawn b4. We're still okay. And now rook d8. This is another attempt to make use of this unpinned knight because I don't think she wanted it to go to waste. And I play the move knight b3 here, trying to sneak around to d4 and get the knight off the same file as the rook because that can lead to a bunch of problems down the line. Kara plays knight takes e5 for some unknown reason. Don't ask me why. I think I can't really remember, but I think she was in time pressure, but there's just no way around this. This is just giving the piece back. Like, there's no real reason to play this, and I'm just back in the game now. And in fact, I'm better because I'm just straight up a pawn. Well, Kara just has this big ugly gap in the middle of her queenside pawns. Knight d4 by me is not a great move because of the move bishop f6, which is played. I go rook c5, and now if Kara spots the move rook takes d4 here, Kara is much better. Just because all of this pressure is going to lead to me dropping a couple of pawns in addition to the piece, and that's more than compensation for the rook. It can lead to like serious winning chances for Kara, but Kara plays the much like it's hard to see that move. Bishop takes d4 is not a bad move. C takes d4 from me. Kara plays rook d8, trying to double up on that d4 pawn. Very sensible, but now I play bishop f3. And now these pawns are looking mighty tasty right now, and there's nothing to stop me from taking them. And in fact, Kara played bishop takes a2 here, which is not a preferred move because now the bishop has to spend a move moving away, and she can't take the b4 pawn, and I go ahead and play b5 just to save it. And now h6, and I want to point this out. After bishop b3, white's got 3 attackers on this d1 square, and I only have 2 defenders. But the issue is, one of those attackers can't check my king. Like, this would be winning if this was a queen, but it's not a queen, it's a bishop. And so there's just nothing that works here. The only move for black is to immediately abort mission and play rook b4 and stop this b pawn before it gets out of hand, and h6 is just not that move. Probably just a stress move. But now b6 comes out, and like this game is over, and Kara goes ahead and resigns here because there's just nothing that you can do here. b7, rook a8, b8 is coming, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And so black resigns, and I have not gone winless in this tournament. Pretty nice. All right, we're on to game number 3. Of course, it's double elimination. Every game left is a win or go home game. So my next opponent's Electro Underwear, who was just knocked out of the winner's bracket by one of my friends, Sportsfoo. But still a pretty good player, 1280 rated, better than me. And I for the first time, I actually call a coin flip this game. I think we did it on our own before the moderator got here, and I won the coin flip, and I picked white. So, looking to play some epic Ponziani Ponziani opening. Let's go Sicilian. Well, there's no Ponziani today. I just have to slog through whatever this is. He goes for a dragon. He goes for g6, and the dragon is not really something I have a lot of experience playing against, but after bishop g7, the whole idea of the dragon is to get this bishop's line open by moving knight g4 and just causing problems with this dynamic here. And I, of course, was not very clued into this because I proceeded to play bishop c4. Yay! And now knight g4 is just wide open. Of course, he castles because you should always castle. It's just a good thing. Engine actually wants f3 here. Like, of course, no rational human plays f3 here because who the hell plays f3 ever? I played queen d2, and now knight g4 is a big problem because all of a sudden, like, this is getting spooky. No knight g4. Instead, he plays a6 to keep this knight off of b5. And I get to castle again, and I miss knight g4 again, and he can play knight g4 again, and he does not play knight g4 again. He plays bishop d7. And now the engine is just screaming at me, dude, please play the move f3. It'll save your entire a4. Oh, I just skipped to the end again. a4. Now the engine's screaming at Electro, play knight g4. It's going to fuck up his position so bad. Knight c6. We just do not care about, like, the opening that is being played on the board right now. Oop, rook fe1. Hey, you want to play knight g4 now? Nope, queen c7. We just are not doing it. We are just not having any of it. And here I go knight d5 for the first aggressive move of the game. Obviously, you can't play knight g4 now because you lose your queen. You don't want to lose your queen. And knight takes d5 and pawn takes d5. And oopsie daisy, I just blundered a piece. Did you catch it? If you did catch it, knight takes d4, bishop takes d4. This is just a free piece. This queen, the bishop is just dead. It is hanging, it is gone, and knight e5. It's funny because on the giant Minecraft chessboard, you have two buttons you have to click. I watch him click on the knight, and I'm like, oh god, it's so fucking over. E5. Like, you can't script this stuff. Anyway, I save my bishop for another day, and now we're back to being equal, and one move later, he moves rook c8, and now I have a big opportunity by playing the move bishop h6, which is pretty brazen, but does get rid of the dragon bishop. I'm going to turn on D&D on Discord 1 second. It gets rid of the dragon bishop, and that's just a pretty nice thing to have gone. I play the move c3 instead, and now that was a missed opportunity. It's fine. e6, and uh-oh, he just hung a piece. You catch it? Well, if you didn't catch it, I did. D takes C6, and now like you don't want this pawn going up in your grill, and there's too many attackers, and like it's just not good for you. And he does even worse. Instead of like it's even worse than that because after this you have to hit with your pawn. Now I've got your rook, and I'm just up a full rook. I'm up. Actually, I think it's the exchange in a pawn, not a full rook. I'll use a technical term here. Anyway, bishop d4 by me, and queen e7. And that's not a good move because you just voluntarily pinned yourself a second time. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but that opens it up to f4. Just another brutal punch because now this knight is not moving. Like, we want to play this. No, that's not a move you can make. It's just bad. Rook d8. Knight gets taken. And rook d8 is a fun idea. The idea is that when this pawn takes, you're going to go here and you're going to die. The issue is that queen e3, and now the pawn is reverse pinned. It's trying to take my pin piece, but it can't because the pawn is pinned itself, and it's so over. Queen f7, bishop takes d5, and king g8. I go ahead and start aggressively trading off pieces, and like look at all of this, and like I'm just gonna very quickly clean up all this, make another queen. And here, Average wanted to point out, after this move, Average, the moderator, wanted to point out that if I played Queen takes G4 here, it's immediate stalemate, and so this was actually a brilliant move from my opponent, Electro. And I would tend to agree, except for the fact that I will always look for an incredibly cool checkmate before a stalemate. And here I have an incredibly cool checkmate because after, well, Electro resigned in this position, but after the move King G5, I can checkmate him in the center of the board. Look at this. This is so fucking sexy. Just amazing stuff right here. And I win my second game of the tournament. We are 2-1. We're going to keep moving on. We now move on to game number 4 against AK1089, who I'm not good friends with because he's a server moderator. And he's also the lowest rated player I have played up to this point. But he has 2 wins, so you can't really underestimate anyone when they've already won a couple of chess games. I win the coin flip again, I pick tails again, and I win, and I take white again. And the first couple moves, I get to play the Ponziani again. So yay, we're doing some more fun stuff. And AK breaks out the move d6. This is not a very common option against the Ponziani. It's also not the best because once again, my goal is to play d4. I'm gonna play d4. Bishop g4 comes out from AK, and I play the move d5. This is not the greatest of moves. The engine here wants to move queen to b3. I'm never gonna find that. Come on, man. d5 is just fine, and knight e7 puts him back in the corner. I then play the move bishop to e3, just trying to develop a little bit. It's also kind of a bad move, but it's fine. And he plays the move c5. Now this is the first big moment of the game. The engine wants bishop takes c5. If I'm only playing that if I'm cheating, I'm gonna be honest, but I'm not playing that move. But there's also the option of en passant, which I'm willing to give up my if you know what I mean. I'm willing to give it up to play what I actually play, which is the move bishop b5. Now, the point of this move is to be scary. Let's. I want to scare him. I want to because this backward bishop move is always here, but it's scary. It's move 7. I'm the big scary guy that's 300 points higher rated than him. I want to be a little spooky. Uh-oh, and the game is already getting out of hand because he just misses the idea of moving the bishop back. It's a tough move to spot, but you have to be observant in the 30-minute game. And now I get the fork of the king and the rook, and I'm just up a full rook. And it's not looking good. I go here, and he trades off the pieces, which, why would you do that? You're down a bunch of material. Come on, man. Knight f6, I castle, and we just start going for trades. I think I miss, here I miss this tactic, because I'm just going to trade out everything as fast as possible. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what's happening here. I win a rook with a pin, and I take another piece, and he resigns. Yeah, this game was just kind of a lesson in like you can't really get rattled when you're facing a higher rated opponent. If you do that, you're gonna get stomped on. Kind of what happened to me against Randbells in game one. You just can't let it happen to you. But anyway, we win our third consecutive game, and we're moving on to round number five. Game number five, we're up against Jacobe, another pretty strong player from our division. He is we're now, just to get a little bit of context, I still have to win five more games in a row to win this tournament. That's just how long the losers bracket is after you drop round one. It's very unforgiving. Anyways, for the third straight game, I call the coin flip, I pick tails, and I win. So I get to go with white again. And I get another Ponziani. Pretty awesome. This time, Jacobe responds with the most common move at every level, Knight f6, which has a couple of pretty interesting possibilities, but of course I'm just going to play my d4 and then push e5 after the d4 pawn gets taken. Knight d5, the most solid response against this opening. I play c takes d4, and now it's about equal. On bishop c4 and knight e6, knight g5 on my end. That's not the greatest of moves, just because it's you don't do a whole lot when you're there. Like even if you take this, you're just gonna it's still protected. There's nothing you can do with that. And queen d7 by Jock. Castles, castles. And now I play the move a3. The engine here is screaming at Jacobe to initiate with the move d takes at e5. Instead he plays h6. Which is kind of weird because it just loses the tempo. Chess.com has this is a great move. I don't really agree. Queen takes e6 has this is a bad move. I'm now up a lot of points, but queen e3 was not the correct move here because now, once again, d takes e5. The rook is defending this, and now I just dropped the pawn for no real reason. Rook e1 is fine, but again, pawn drops, and now we're down two pawns, and it's looking pretty bad. I've lost all my center control, and I don't have much going for me in the way of actual attacks. Queen d3 by me. Queen b6 by Jacobe, and that's not the greatest of moves. The idea behind this is that it wants you to play knight c3, and then that gives you a couple of openings over here. And instead, I just go ahead and play rook takes e5 right away. And c6 comes out from Jacobe, failing to retaliate. The engine actually wanted to move knight to f6 out here. The idea behind that is that it sets up this kind of move with the rook and the queen on this file. It wants to give you a nice tactical opportunity there. c6 is not that. And now I go ahead and take the knight and kind of diffuse the whole situation, and I'm back to pretty much equal. Bishop e3 establishes another pin that he's going to have to work hard to get out of. The engine actually loves me here. And now bishop c5, and I play b4. Look at that. And all of a sudden, that pressure is gonna very much be a bad on his part. And now knight e6 comes out, and it just goes from bad to worse. That's actually a terrible move on my end. The correct move here is bishop takes, and you'll see why. Because after b takes c5, it opens up the b2 square for the queen. And all of a sudden, this rook is trapped, and what I have to do to get out of that is to play the move queen to c3 and trade off the queens. Only problem is d4 comes out, and now I'm losing my piece right back. And so I just lost all the progress I made because of one bad recapture. Anyways, d4, I go ahead and take it. Another kind of weird move. The engine wanted knight e4 here, probably just to get in to d6, and which is probably better, but I just wanted the pawn. And here I play g3, probably a little bit of a waste because the engine wants rook hd8 from black to double the rooks. Instead, rook c4, just a pretty weak threat. I go ahead and play rook b5 with the same idea of knight d6 check. Unfortunately, my opponent was not born yesterday. King d7 and rook d1, king e7, and Here I play knight takes a7, which is a little greedy. It goes to the rim, and there's not a whole lot of ways to get out of this except going back to the same square. King f6, and here I play the move rook d to d5. That is a bad move because of the immediate fallout move that comes knight c7, and now we're in big trouble because how are you going to defend both these two? I think I have a way out because I played the move rook f5, but this is not actually a way out because after rook e5, now rook a8, and my knight is trapped. Look at how that all shakes out. That is pretty amazing that all that comes together pretty well. Anyways, I recognize that this game is probably over, and I play the move h4 as a last ditch effort, with the idea being that after rook takes a7, which is a complete blunder, by the way, the correct response is to go ahead and threaten one of these rooks with the move f6 and just disrupt the whole tempo on the king side. Then you can go ahead and take the knight. Instead, you can't take the knight immediately because now h5 and this pawn's dropping. And here, I have the idea that double level at 7 then can go after the king. Instead, the idea for the engine, which I never would have a chance of seeing, abandon this plan and go rook f8, rook e8, and go for the checkmate. Holy shit. Holy shit, dude. How? That's a crazy idea that, like, you're going to have to just abandon your plans midway through and just go for something different. Instead, rook e to e7, and the game is back to being mostly drawn. And here, Jacobé plays the move rook g4 instead of taking my pawn on c5. He gets scared of that threat on c7 and goes to provide some help, and I play the move c6. And here it's just really scary on his, and this is pretty hard to keep together. Jacobé plays the move knight to d7 to go ahead and threaten this rook over here. Pretty solid play. I take the pawn because I'm not scared of losing this. I could easily cope with the queen. But knight takes f7 if b8 is actually a pretty big blunder, so I'm glad I didn't have to deal with that because I might have lost the game. Knight takes b7, drops the knight voluntarily, and we're back to equal in pieces. The only difference is that I have this outside passed a pawn that's going to be a massive problem for Jacobé in the future, and it gets bad to worse because instead of taking that outside passed a pawn right away, he plays rook takes b7, and now it's getting really bad. I am just straight up 2 pawns, and Jacobé doesn't have a whole lot of material to work with. Rook a4, best move. Rook b3 by me, pretty sensible, and now the kings are going to start marching. And here we get rook a8. Now, there is a mate in 2 on this board. This is a pretty tough mate in 2 to spot. The idea is rook b6. Rook b6, and there is no way to stop this rook from going all the way over to g8 and checkmating black. Because this king is locked in. I think you can also play f4. F4 is the same effect, and it's also a pawn checkmate. Pawn checkmates are really cool. But anyway, I do not spot rook b6. I play f4, and now that gives black an alley of escape. And I move my king up to h4. Rook a6 and g5. And now, after king f5, this is not a really good win condition for me because now we're on rook pawns, and this is going to get a little ugly. But instead, black takes back, and that kind of removes all the doubt. g6, king g8, and here we get rook b8, and I win game number 5 after a back and forth fight. We both had a ton of chances to win. Crazy game, and definitely good for another great win and another good piece of content. Now we're on to game number 6. I need 4 more wins to win the tournament and 2 more to reach the grand finals to have a chance to win the tournament. My next opponent is Junk Jake, who I again don't really know personally, but very solid chess player in the 1300s. Definitely going to be a tall task to beat him. And for the 4th straight game, I win the coin toss by calling tails, because tails, well, there's the 2 schools of thought. Heads always shreds and tails never fails. First of all, why would you want to shred? It's literally a coin flip. It just makes that verbiage just makes no sense. I don't get it. Tails never fails just goes so much smoother, and that's why I keep picking tails, and that's why it keeps working. Second point, Since I'm so close to making it to grands, this is the point in time where I start thumbing through my opponent's games to see like what I'm gonna get responded to by getting white. And I noticed that Junk Jake is a pure defense player. And I have something that most uh, E4 players don't, which is incredible amounts of pettiness. Um, when I played chess in high school, there was a kid, he was rated about 1500, and he would play the pure defense. I wouldn't get to play my Ponziani, and he would kick my ass with it. It was very annoying. I did not like it. So I learned a couple of extra moves against the pure defense. I think this is called the 150 system or something, but you have the bishop here and you have the queen here, and if anything gets too annoying, you can go ahead and extricate this bishop out from right out over here. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the whole point of the system. And here, black castles. And much like game three against Electro, the engine really wants me to play something to stop the move knight to g4 for the same reasons as when I was playing against the dragon, is that that bishop being open and that knight making an advanced move is just a great move to play when you're playing a system like this. And I just completely ignore it. I don't play it, and now knight g4 is just makes it really awkward for me to play the game. Instead, Junk Jake plays e5, and I castle. And now, same deal here, because after this, this is still pretty dangerous. And actually, the engine wants knight c6 here, just getting a tempo, and if I want to take, then that opens up the bishop, and I don't want to do that. Anyway, instead of that, Junk Jake plays rook e8, just kind of not really punishing my bad early gameplay. Lucky me. I play f3 to go ahead and bolster this pawn and to keep the knight out of g4. For once in my miserable existence, I managed to do that. Knight c6 from black. And here I play the move bishop b5 and immediately drop a piece. And the reason for that is that knight takes d4, and like if the knight goes here and I take with the queen, knight takes e4 comes, and this is open, and the queen is open, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm going to drop it. I'm going to drop this knight, and like, holy shit, this is getting bad. But Czar does not find that neat idea and instead plays the move a6 to keep my bishop out, and I defuse the threat of knight takes d4 by just taking the knight, and now we're back to about equal. Next up, I play the move g4, and Czar responds by sacrificing the knight to get an advantage. Um, and the thing about sacrifices like this is that if you don't have a really good reason to be sacrificing, you probably shouldn't be doing it. Like, this doesn't fuck up my pawn structure because it's not on the same side as my king. It's just not worth sacrificing a piece over. It's a decent idea, it just doesn't work here. F takes. And now, Czar makes it bad to worse by playing rook takes e4. Just completely dropping this rook. Oh my god. And I don't even see it for the first move. I play frickin' bishop takes g7 and let this rook get away. Oh my god, dude. Bishop d4 by me. And c5 just be harassive. Bishop e7. Oh no, my rook is trapped. Oh no, it's all over. Knight h3. And we just go ahead and trade the rooks, and everything is fine and dandy. Queen h4 here by Czar or Junk Jake. Just trying to make use of every last bit he can. I play the move knight g to e2, just getting this nice little throw on the bishop. Bishop f3 comes out, and I play knight d5, with the idea being with a pretty neat idea here that I am going to play after this bishop takes the pawn. I'm gonna play bishop g. Oh, I just leaked it, but that after this I'm gonna play bishop g5, luring the queen here, knight f6. Pretty nasty way to end a chess game. Just get that beautiful knight fork up in there. And on move 22, Jung Jae goes ahead and resigns, and I have won another game of chess. Oh my god, this is really happening. Oh my god. We're now in the losers finals. I am guaranteed top three in this tournament. After losing game one, which is insane, and if I can win three more games, I'll be the outright winner. My next opponent is Sports Foo Zombie, who's one of my good friends. He's a transcript writer. Got a nice ace profile picture. Love to see it. Also a pretty strong chess player. So I won the coin toss again, picked white, picked tails, all that good stuff. I figured it didn't matter, and I was right. Sportsfoo had played black in all five of his previous games, and I figured that there was a reason, and it wasn't just that he was getting super unlucky. We're going to have to play a guy who is comfortable playing black, and I break out my Ponziani, knight f6, d4, and here Sportsfoo plays a move that I have never seen anyone play against the Ponziani, and that is bishop d6. Now, chess.com calls this a mistake because why would you voluntarily walk into this potentially or this or any future e5 move that just could screw you over? Like looking back on this game, I should have played bishop b5 right here and just try to trade off this knight and get something going on e5. Instead, I just continue with traditional and I play d5, just a very bad way to punish bishop d6. And after knight e7, he's kind of fine. I mean, he's a little cramped, but he's kind of fine. Bishop d3 by me comes out, and c6 from Sportsfoo. Very good pawn break to break up this like suffocating center control. I play c4. Pretty natural stuff to just try to keep my center control around. Sportsfoo castles, I castle, and h6. Trying to stop an impending bishop g5. Good move by him. Queen c2 by me. Trying to both support e4, but if shit hits the fan, I'll have an attack on h7, opening up his king. It's not going to be very threatening, but it'll look scary. b6 by Sportsfoo comes out, trying to get that bishop out. And that's I think chess.com wants this to be an accuracy because it's a little slow, but I don't really agree. It's fine. Like, I'll play b4. I don't know. Once knight c3. Like, nothing's really interesting in that move. I play h3, which is just way too slow. Like, let's be real here. It's a fine move. It's just, like, a little bit slow for what I want to do. And all it does is keep this knight off g4, which is probably a pretty good purpose, to be fair. Bishop a6 by Sportsfoo. Another unusual move. Loves playing with those bishops in unusual spots. I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, I play the move a4. That's just... It's a fine move, but, like, what does it really do? It cedes control of this square if I ever want to use it, and it's just not the most effective move. Rook c8. And here is a pretty tense situation. And the problem is that there's a lot of things that can happen once this rook moves to c8. You have this dynamic with the bishops staring at each other. You have this square where a pawn fork could eventually happen if shit clears up. And you have this rook and queen pin that could just be totally bad if I don't address it immediately. And so what do I do but not address it immediately, and I have lost. And this is just not a good move at all because it just completely fails to address any of the underlying problems with my position and instead just gets a piece out. Like, it's just not the time to be doing that. The time to be doing that was 5 moves ago. And now after c takes d5, I think we can safely say that shit is hitting the fan. After knight takes d5, like, there is nothing stopping e4. And here sports plays on knight b4. But there's no way I can put a credible threat on this when it's defended with the bishop. The engine likes to try queen to d1, where after e4 you have takes and takes, but the issue is that this is still defended. It just kind of sets up perfectly for everything to fall into place. And I just have no recourse here. And I start tilt blundering. Like, everyone knows what that is. You start, like, dropping extra pieces where you don't really need to do that. And of course, I'm gonna squirm around for a little bit, make some threats, make some pins, but like, oh hey, I'm gonna play this really cute queen. Bishop takes h6. Too bad he has queen h1 and bishop g2 checkmate. Uh, he misses that, so I actually get to stay alive for another move, and I play bishop f4, and now queen h1 comes out. He misses bishop. He misses bishop g2 checkmate, just trading off the pieces, and it's a formality at this point. And knight g3 finishes me off for the win. So all in all, a pretty unsatisfying loss. But I didn't come in with much expectations, and I managed to get 5 wins in third place. I can complain about how many games I had to win just to get here, but if I lose 2 games, I'm clearly not the best. So very unfortunate ending, but I still love how I played. It's like this is my first like foray into competitive chess in a decent while, and I thought I did pretty well, all things considered. I hope you enjoyed this whole recap. I just thought I'd get all my feelings out there about all my games. And yeah, thank you for watching if you stuck to the end. And goodbye.